to my channel. This is created by Carrie Lee. I'm Carrie Lee, and I appreciate you joining me today. This is my first YouTube video. Please be patient with me. I promise I will get better as we go on. But this channel is all about reading, writing, and just living our best middle-aged life. So that's what we're going to be doing here on this channel. If that interests you, please like and subscribe. You'll then get notices of anytime I post a new video. My goal is going to be to post probably weekly, but you know, I'll do the best I can. Life sometimes gets in the way, but we'll try to stick with once a week. So I am currently working on my first novel. It's a fantasy novel. It's called The Seeker. And so today what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be bringing you along while we work on an outline for this book. Now, in all honesty, I've been working on this book for a couple years, meaning I've been taking notes and doing outline after outline after outline, and have slowly kind of put together an outline and started to work on plotting my novel. But I wanted to kind of take you guys back to the beginning and help you work on your outline if that's something that you were interested in doing. If you wanted to write a book, I wanted to kind of show you how I started from the beginning. So today what we're going to do in this video is we are going to work on just a basic general outline. I'm going to walk you through that and show you how to do that, and hopefully we can get you started on your first book. All right, let's go. All right, welcome back. So if you do hear a dog barking, growling, playing, I do have a dog at my feet, and she wanted to be in here with me, so I went ahead and let her be in here with me, but I apologize for any distractions that she may cause. So if you're going to get started today on outlining your novel, the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to gather all of your notes that you have already made for this novel. So when I started brainstorming the idea for this novel, I had written down notes on napkins, paper, receipts, my planner, index cards, sticky notes, like you name it, I had written notes on it. And honey, you better believe if I didn't have a pen together, I was using pencils, markers, crayons, damaged more than a couple eyeliners. So when I have a thought come into my mind, I am scrambling to write it down as soon as I can with whatever I have. So if you are the same like me, grab all of your notes that you have together and let's just get them in front of you. Let's start there. Let's grab all of your book notes and get them in front of you. So that is step number one. Okay. I'll give you, so you got your notes together. And the next step is going to be to go through your notes, sort through them, see what you actually want to use for this outline and what doesn't make sense for you to use right now. So when you're brainstorming, you may have written notes that, you know, later on down the line as you are continuing to brainstorm, you realize, yeah, that's idea is not even going to work. I'm just going to throw that aside. So if you have notes like that that just really don't fit in the overall picture of what you see your book being right now, you want to go ahead and put those notes aside. Now, don't throw those notes away. Don't ever throw your book notes away, because I promise you at some point you will probably use those notes. It may not be for this book. It may not even be for a book. It may be for a poem later on, or an essay, or a paper if you're in school, or an op-ed or article or anything like that. You may end up using those notes for. So I always advise everybody, keep your notes. Keep all of your notes when you're brainstorming, even if they don't fit in your current book. So for today though, gather all of your notes that don't fit in your current book idea and set them aside. So now in front of us, we're only going to have the notes that fit into this book idea. So that is step number 2. Now, on that note, I do want to share something with you real quick. So one thing that may help you keep your notes organized when it comes to brainstorming for these books is using a Google Drive. That's something that I do to kind of store all of my notes. I will get into Google and I'll show you a quick example coming up. But I'll get into Google, I'll create a file that might say like book ideas or story ideas or just random ideas, and create that file, and then you can just throw all of your documents into that Google file as you go along, and it automatically saves. So you don't have to worry about it never saving, forgetting to save it, whatever, automatically saves. Now, along with that, one thing I would absolutely 100% advise you to do is I would advise you to get you one of these. This is an external hard drive. I don't think they're that expensive. I'm pretty sure that this was under $20. But it's just an external hard drive. It has a USB, and you just plug it into your laptop or your computer, and then you can also save everything that you save on Google or on your computer. You also want to save it onto your external drive. That way, if something would ever happen, the power of bees decide that they want to, you know, get rid of Google or whatever, I don't know. You at least have your file, you know, safe and sound, your book safe and sound on a hard drive, and you can always then bring it back up that way. So I would advise those two things. Get you a Google Drive to keep your notes in, and then also set up the same thing on your hard drive, your external drive, not your hard drive, your external drive. Your hard drive is in your computer. Yeah, so that's my advice when it comes to saving these documents. So now that you have the notes in front of you, the next thing I want you to do is I want you to pause, and I want you to do a little bit of research. So we need to figure out what type of plotting template you would like to use when it comes to this book that you're writing. So what I mean by that is there's a few different ways to organize your story. The way that I'm using is the 3-act structure. So there's an act 1, an act 2, and an act 3. And 2 is actually in 2 different parts. It's a 2A and a 2B. But that's the way that I am choosing to structure my story. And the reason I need to know that is because that's going to give me a little bit of knowledge on how I want this outline to look. So for instance, if I'm going to be doing a 5-part structure, then my outline is probably going to be different than if I'm doing a 3-part structure for my writing. So take a minute, do some research. You can look up story structures on Google or whatever web browser you use. You can use a writing craft book. So some books that I recommend is In Writing by Stephen King, and Save a Cat Writes a Novel, I think it's called. Actually, let me just show that to you. Okay, I'm back. So these are some novel writing books that I found very helpful. We have right here Stephen King on writing. As you can see, I got it for pretty cheaply at Half Price Books, but I definitely would recommend this one. Stephen King, as you know, is a phenomenal writer. I don't read a lot of his stuff because I'm super scary and I don't read horror books. But the man is a fantastic writer and is a genius, and is somehow able to put out book after book after book after book every year. And so he has the story structure down, he has the formula down, he has his process down. So it's definitely something that I would recommend, even if you're not a big Stephen King book fan. I would still read his writing craft book because the man is undeniably great at what he does and he's doing it right. Okay, the next one I would recommend is this one. It is the Complete Handbook of Novel Writing. This one has a lot of just really good basic info when it comes to like your process of writing, the writing craft, you know, plots and structure and story ideas and all of those things. So this is going to be very helpful for you if you're a beginning writer, as I am, to just kind of help you walk through the plotting and the structure process. And then my go-to is this Save a Cat Writes a Novel. As you can see, I read it and I bookmark things that I definitely want to go back to and look at again. You will definitely use this. If you buy this book, you will use this. This has been gold to me, and I literally like keep it open as I'm doing my outline and my plotting, and it walks me through the best way to do those. So I would definitely recommend, if you don't have another plotting structure that you were already wanting to use, I would definitely recommend buying this book, Save the Cat Writes a Novel, and using this to find your plotting structure, your story structure. So my story structure that I'm using is, like I said, it's a 3-act story structure. And so as we go on and we do the outline, you'll see what that looks like. And it'll give you some idea of maybe like an example of what you might use. But I definitely wanted to recommend that. Another thing that I would recommend is watching the YouTube channel for Sarah Cannon. I believe the YouTube channel is called Heart Breathings, and I'll actually show you how to get into it right now. But Sarah Cannon is a great author who has written a ton of books. I think she's definitely written over like 10 books by now. And her stuff is all like fan faves. Like, people follow her and they love her, and she has generated just a great reader following. But even more importantly, she is an amazing person who gives out a ton of free tips and tools and things like that to the people who do watch her YouTube channel and follow her. So this is the Plot Your Novel that she created, and it has just everything you would need to help you figure out your first novel and brainstorm your first novel and plot it out completely. So it talks about like the characters and their different relationships to each other, and the personalities of each character, and your settings for your book, and the timelines in the story, and just all of these different things. Everything is in those free tools that she gives you, that free plotting your book packet. So I would definitely say subscribe to her channel, and yeah, it's a bunch of free tools. And thank you again, Sarah, we appreciate you. All right, so moving on. Let me show you actually what a general outline would look like for this 3-act structure. Again, I'm doing the 3-act structure from the Save a Cat Writes a Novel. So I'm going to show you here what this outline would look like. And it's just a very basic general outline. You want to make sure that when you're doing your first outline that you are not like overstressing it and overdoing it. This is literally going to be a brain dump. So basically, you're going to be getting your notes that you've gathered that all fit into this story, and you're gonna basically just be putting them in a sequential order on paper so that you can get your thoughts together, get your thoughts in a lineal order, and get everything down, right? So we're basically just brain dumping everything that we have. So for instance, for this basic outline, the initial in Act 1, it says we're going to get a view into the main character's life. So what does the setting look like? Who is the main character? What are their main goals? What's their emotional state look like? You know, we're going to get to know that main character. And that one, that Act 1 is going to be multi-scene. So it's going to be several scenes in each story, or in each act. Sorry about that. So the opening image is going to be a single scene. So that's usually when you want to catch the reader's attention with that opening image. You know, you want something that makes them want to continue reading. So if you already have that in your notes, you have a first sentence or a first paragraph or opening scene, good, go ahead and throw it there. If you don't, then just simply brain dump. What are some things that you could put in that opening image? You know, what are some, think of movies that you've seen, think of other books that you've watched, and come up with something that you feel like might be a good opening image. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just an idea at this point. Next, you want to do your theme stated. So that would be, we want some hints at what the main character is kind of dealing with. What is their emotional struggle? What is something, basically, where are they starting? We're at the end of the book, we will be able to see their journey, right? So what's a good example? So maybe at the beginning of the story, you have a main character that is arrogant and selfish, and they feel like they don't need anybody. Let's get some hints at that. Let's get some hints at that main character, you know, being independent, at that main character, you know, being independent and selfish, and maybe having conflict with family and friends about not wanting help and not wanting relationships and things like that. Let's go ahead and get that in there so that we can show that growth throughout the story, to where at the end of the story, the main character is now realizing that they can't do everything on their own, and that they need other people, they need relationships, and they need to be able to open themselves up to be able to be vulnerable and depend on other people or rely on other people. So that would be what we would be looking at for your theme stated. Your C, your call for adventure. Oh, also in that second part, real quick, you want to make sure that your main character is being resistant to change. So you want to show that not only are they, in that example, like arrogant and wanting to do everything on their own and not wanting to have like any type of help from other people, but you want to show that that they want to stay that way, that they're fine being that way. You want to be able to show that in your story. So that's that theme stated. And then C, you're going to see I have a call to adventure. So that's going to be a couple scenes, and that's your catalyst. So that's a catalyst is something that brings about change, right? So a catalyst might be something that sparks change to happen in your story. So number one, a life-changing event might be one. So maybe in your story, using the same example, the main character, they end up losing a best friend, and now they feel super alone and super lonely, right? So that might be your catalyst to change, of them realizing that they do need other people in their lives, that they do need the support of others. So let's say their best friend passes away, and that's your life-changing event. And then your main character accepts the call to action. So that would be maybe where your main character is like angry that they lost their best friend. You know, they're still pushing people away. They're still upset that their best friend died, but they're still not willing to accept change at this point, but they are starting to act out on their feelings. So that would be like your call to adventure, accepting the call to action. So let's see. So Act 2 is going to be two parts. It's going to be Act 2A and Act 2B. And 2A is basically when you're going to have a false victory, or you're going to have kind of like a little bit of a up before another down. So if you figure that your story is kind of like a roller coaster, you could kind of look at your acts as a roller coaster too. So Act 2 is when you're kind of going up a little bit. All right. So that is going to be a single scene where you're going to have your B story, and also a single scene where you're going to have your midpoint. And that midpoint is where you're going to go up again, where it seems like things are going better for the MC, and they're right up here at the tip top before it starts to drop again. So Act 2B. Act 2B is your rock bottom for the MC. So Act 2B is going to be multi-scene, and we're going to be right up here at that tip top point, and then 2B is when we go down and we hit that rock bottom, that low for the main character. So think about when you're writing your outline, what would be a low part of your story that you are currently writing? And then let's see, break into 3. So that would be like if the MC realizes that they need to make a change, that things aren't going to get better unless they make a change to both their internal and external circumstances. So maybe that's where the MC, maybe that's the point where they realize that they can't do everything by themselves, and that they're gonna have to open up and accept support, and not only just like emotionally open up and accept support, but maybe that's the point to where your main character actually goes out and finds support, you know, asks for help, finds help. So that would be like you're realizing that they need to fix their internal, external problems. So those are the first 2 acts. Act 3, so that's going to be your big finale. So this is where we're going to start to see the growth from where your main character was when we started the story all the way to where they're getting to at the end of the story. So that's where the main character is going to prove that they have changed and that they have learned the lessons that we have kind of set up for them in this story. So the part of that is they're going to be gathering a team. So they're going to be gathering that support. They're going to be rounding up supplies. Maybe we're going after the person at this point who killed the friend. All right, so we're gathering a team together. We're realizing that we can't do it all on our own, and that we need to get a team together to avenge our friend who was killed. And then the next part of that would be executing the plan. And sometimes when we're executing the plan, again, we're kind of starting to hit up a little bit on that roller coaster. And sometimes right when we start to get to the top of that, you bring the story back down again to where maybe you lose a secondary character. Like maybe you're getting to that point to where it seems like your characters are really making some headway, and then they run into another roadblock, and so it drops down again. And these are things to help move the story along. Remember, you're always wanting a catalyst to help move the story along, to keep your readers engaged and wanting to see what happens next. So executing the plan, maybe you lose another side character at that point to help move the story along, and then you get to the bottom again, and that's another surprise. So that's maybe where your main character starts to feel hopeless again, or starts to feel like it's just not going to work out, like this is too much. So at that point, then we want them to dig down deep, and we want them to sometimes it is a like come to Jesus moment, I call it, or another like rock bottom moment. A lot of times in stories, it'll be like a heart-to-heart talk with somebody, or a light bulb moment, or something like that brings the character out of that moment when they're at the bottom, and helps them dig down deep and come back up to the top. So that's what you're looking for in that last part of Act 3 as well. And then they come up with a new plan, or they have a new way to find success, and that leads you out to the end of your story. So that's what the Act 3 is going to look like. Goes like this, kind of on a roller coaster. You're going up, down, up, down, up, down, to keep the reader engaged. I did want to put a pause here real quick, and I wanted to talk about something here briefly. So completing this outline is not easy, and it's not something that's going to be done quickly. So initially, when you're just bringing all of your notes together, you're finding what you can to fill in the holes on the outline. It may be that you only have, you know, your character's goal, like you may know what you want to happen, what changes you want to happen from the beginning of the story to the end of the story. You may only know that. and that's all you have right now. But if that's all you have, that's fine. Get it down, right? We just want to get it down. We want to brain dump and get everything down so that we then know what holes we need to fill to complete the story. So please don't worry about it as if you're going through this outline, you only have 1 or 2 pieces of the puzzle or no pieces of the puzzle, right? Because at least just looking at the outline structure is going to help you understand what you need to come up with for your story in order for it to be a complete story. So that's really the purpose of this outline. I bet I did 10 plus different outlines for this book that I'm doing right now. So it's not something that's quick. It's not something that's easy. It may take you, days, weeks, months to complete your outline and get all the pieces down to the puzzle that you are putting together for this story. So please be patient with yourself. Don't get frustrated. Stick with it, keep at it, and use all the tools that you have available to you to try to get your outline done and to have it be as clear as possible, because it really does make writing your book a lot easier when you already have an outline completed. So then you have the final image at the end of that, and that's kind of showing the progress that the main character has made. So it's a glimpse into what their life looks like now that they have gone through all the ups and downs that you have put them through in their story. And if you're writing a series, that's a great time to kind of get some hints into something else that's coming, or to maybe leave a little cliffhanger at the end in that final image to kind of hint that this is a series and we have more to this story. So that's also what you can do with that final image as well. So again, obviously this isn't perfect. I just wanted to give you a little bit of an example of what I use for my outline. I have been working on my book for a while, like I said, and I had a lot of people who have given me advice and who have helped to make all of this make sense to me. So I just wanted to do my best to kind of return the favor and hopefully help some of you out there get started on your first book and get started on your outline. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me, leave a comment, leave a question below, and I will definitely get back to you and respond. But that's all I have for today. So if you enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful at all, please make sure that you like and subscribe. I will be doing another video next week, and next time we're going to be talking about creating characters and finding character names and things like that. So we are going to be slowly making our way through the book writing process, and hopefully as you go along through this with me, we will go from no book to writing a complete book and hopefully finding a publisher. That's our goal. I'm not going to put a timeline on it because life happens, but basically I'm just going to bring you guys along for the ride, and hopefully as I'm going through it, it can help y'all to go through it as well, and y'all can learn from my mistakes. Okay, so again, thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys next video. Bye.